Right, here we are today doing xylem. So xylem is part of the vascular bundle, also found with phloem and cambium. Don't need to know those two yet, just focusing on xylem at this minute in time. So xylem transports water and mineral ions in solution. You just need to know it transports water, that is basically mineral ions. So, we know it transports water, and that's really it. No, I'm joking. So xylem vessels are the actual part that carries the water in the xylem tissue. So this is the vessel part of the vessel is the important part of the tissue basically. This is the part which carries the water. So we need to know the characteristics of the xylem vessel, this thing right here. We need to know that it's long. It's a tube-like structure, which I've shown here. What a great drawing. They're formed from dead cells, and they're joined end to end. So they're long tube-like structures, and they're formed from dead cells, and they're joined end to end. So if you can imagine another tube-like structure here or here, that's great. That's what they are. They've got no, they're joined end to end, which means they have no end walls. Now this means that they are complete. They're just hollow. They're uninterrupted. So that means water can just move easily throughout it. There's no well, in phloem there's like sieve tube elements which we haven't got onto yet, but there's none of those. There's no end walls whatsoever, so water can easily move throughout the xylem vessel, or the column if you want to call it. This is just the definition of transpiration. Later we get onto the actual transpiration stream, but it is the evaporation of water, or you can say it's the loss of water from a plant surface via evaporation. You want the fancy way, you can have the fancy way, there you go. So that's just the definition. We need to know some of the characteristics of water to help us understand how water moves through the xylem vessels, from the roots to the stem to the leaves. So we need to know that it's cohesive and adhesive. Cohesive means that the water molecules stick together. They're attracted to each other via these hydrogen bonds in water, as we've done in the past. We've done water already. And adhesive means that the water molecules, they stick to the side of the xylem walls, so they almost imagine them crawling up the xylem walls, up the stem, to the leaves. So that's really it for now of the xylem structure and the xylem vessel structure and what xylem does pretty much. Now we need to know how water actually moves up. Look at that, it's magic. Up the stem, well, up the roots, up the stem to the leaves. So we need to know the transpiration stream. Transpiration stream is really easy. We know that transpiration is the evaporation of water, or the other fancy way if you want. How does water move up the plant? So water moves up from the root to the stem to the leaves. Transpiration stream right there. Now how it does this, it's almost like a cycle, because we say root, stem, leaves, but that's right. But there is a bit more to it. We think it's a cycle because we don't start at the roots, we start at the leaves. So water evaporates from the leaves. Now this creates tension, or almost like a suction, which sucks the water up from the roots all the way up to the stem, all the way up to the leaves, and which pulls the water up. So that's the tension. It's almost like a negative pressure formed in the leaves, which causes this high pressure in the root because water's being sucked into it. More water potential, more high pressure in here. Now that creates a pressure concentration gradient, forcing the water up. So that's part of it. That's the negative pressure in there. So we know that the water is pulled up via the roots, via here, all the way into here, along this pressure gradient. But that's not going to do it. This root pressure right here, when water builds up in the roots, that pressure won't do it in big plants. It'll do it in small plants easily. Big plants, we need the help of this tension up here, pulling this water, and we also need the help of cohesion and adhesion. So we talked about cohesion and adhesion just a minute ago on this page right here. Just to remind you, cohesion, the sticking together of water molecules via their hydrogen bonds, and adhesion, the water molecules sticking to the side of the xylem walls, crawling up the sides, up the stem, up the roots, up the stem to the leaves. So now we need to know how water actually moves out of the leaf from the xylem vessel. So when all this water moves up this and gets into the leaf, how does this happen? How does it evaporate? So how it does it it basically evaporates from these moist cell walls in the xylem vessels and through the plasmodesmata, which are tiny spaces in these walls, which causes like a link between cytoplasms. So you don't really need to know too much on the plasmodesmata. All you need to know is that they're just gaps in the xylem vessel. But stick to the key characteristics when talking about the xylem vessel with the long tube-like structures formed from dead cells joined end to end. No end walls, and it's an uninterrupted column or vessel, if you want. I went a bit off on a tangent there, but basically, the water diffuses out or evaporates out of these cell walls, these moist cell walls, into the rest of the leaf, which is it accumulates in between the loosely packed spongy mesophyll layer. And when it does this, the stomata picks this up, it recognises this, and it opens. The stomata opens, letting the water out. Now, how the water gets out, I haven't really explained down here, but basically, the way it diffuses out is because there's a higher water what am I about? Wait there. There's a lower water potential out in the air, which makes the high to low water potential, which brings out the water from the stomata into the open. So that is how water moves out of the leaf into the air. Done. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe. I will catch you next time.